Okay, ready to get the last podcast for the night banged out?
Yeah. Can you just give me a sec? I really gotta go to the bathroom, man.
No, let's just do the last one, then we're done for the night.
No, dude, I really gotta go.
No, you can hold it.
This isn't funny, man. This isn't cute. Because what? I'm made to feel like a freak if I answer questions? Or if I'm smart? Or if I go to the bathroom? What is that, Jimmy? What is that? I'm asking you that.
Who's Jimmy?
Gotta be fucking kidding.
Here's the first movie.
Did you know I'm utterly insane?
Peel that pig and slice him thick.
The body count is always bigger.
Hi, I'm Chucky. Wanna play?
And the fucking trees walked in those movies.
Hi, doggy.
What a story, Mark.
The greatest trick the devil ever pulled.
It's just like your opinion, man.
Life moves pretty fast.
If you want your sequel to become a franchise.
37 dicks.
In a row?
I'm your number one fan.
G'day, ladies and gents. Welcome back to another episode of Marathon Me with your host, Kane.
And Rhys.
And today, we're at part 3 of our PTA marathon series, where today, we're taking on something pretty big, I will say. Rhys, what are we looking at today?
We are taking on the grand scale epic that is PTA's Magnolia. Arguably his magnum opus, arguably his most ambitious film. This is like, it's almost like the Boogie Nights is a bit like that he perfected how to like make a movie with a story that goes from A to B, and then this one is him trying to make something of biblical proportions.
Yes. This is definitely, this is a man that already was working at the top of his craft with Boogie Nights and figured, okay, let's try. All right, what I made was good, but let's really try to push myself to make something grand, something of epic proportions, kind of thing.
It's like the Boogie Nights sort of like followed all the rules and went like followed them to the T to make it perfect. Like in a textbook, it's a perfect movie. This one, he rewrites the fucking textbook. And
yes, that's a good way of putting it, actually.
And the whole film is very much inspired by that between the production of Boogie Nights and Magnolia, PTA's father died, and he lost his first parent. And it is very much, you can smell it on this film. This is a movie that could only be made by someone very depressed and on a lot of cocaine. And it's like it even has father figures dying as a part of this film, literally.
Yeah, wow, okay, I had no idea about that backstory. That's actually very interesting. What the fuck?
And the whole thing is so... There's something so sad about it all, that everyone is so lost, and you can really tell this is made by someone that is really like digging deep in his own loss and his own grief.
Yeah.
And a lot of things can be said about this movie, but one thing that I think is a good way to describe it is vulnerable. It is a vulnerable frickin' movie.
Yes, definitely.
I see this as almost like the filmic equivalent of like a Greek Odyssey or Greek tragedy or something, in that there's just so much meat on the bones of this film to the point that it's almost a bit overwhelming. This movie rules your day afterwards, I think. I think that there is, no matter what, it gives you a lot to think about.
Oh, completely.
And this is the first time that you've seen this movie, right?
Yes. I had been meaning to watch this for years, man, and it was very daunting going into this, and we'll get into opinions very soon, but it was something that I had to plan the day around, you know? Yeah,
and it even if it was an hour, still the emotional toll that it takes is gonna rule your day. And
yeah, completely.
Yeah, this is a 3-hour and 10-minute film. Not a single moment of where it stops, where it gives you a moment to breathe almost. And essentially, it's a film about all these interconnected stories surrounding some small connection to this kids' game show called How Smart Are Kids Anyway, where the audience is tasked, and I mean the audience watching the film, are tasked to figure out how these are connected and how it's going to play out. And that is the game that is Magnolia. And this is a little bit of the trailer.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to read a line to you from an opera. I want you to give me that line back in the language in which the opera was originally written. And for a bonus $250, you can sing it.
I'm Stanley Spector.
There is the story of a boy genius.
Willa Cather. Thomas Kidd. Jean-Baptiste Clairmoyer.
And the game show host.
I'm Jimmy Gator. Live from Burbank, California. First question for 25. This French playwright and actor joined the Béjart troupe of actors.
And the ex-boy genius.
I'm Quiska Dunny Smith. I used to be smart, now I'm just stupid.
There is the story of the dying man.
I'm Earl Partridge.
I have a son, you know.
You do?
Find him.
I'm Frank T.J. Mackey.
His lost son.
What did he say? Because I am not going to take care of him. What does he want?
And the dying man's wife.
I'm Linda Partridge.
I took care of him through this, Alan. What now, then? Me and him. Do you understand? There's no one else. No one else.
The caretaker.
Hello. I'm Phil Parma. See, this is the scene of the movie where you helped me out.
And there's the story of a mother.
I'm Rose Gator. You come home soon after the show. I love you.
Love you too.
And the daughter.
I'm Claudia Wilson Gator.
Now that I've met you, would you object to never seeing me again?
And the police officer in love.
I'm Officer Jim Curring. My life is very stressful, and I'd hope to have a relationship that is very calm and undemanding and loving. So if you are this person, please leave me a message at box number 82.
And this will all make sense in the end.
Okay, Rhys. I'm just gonna ask it straight up now. What did you think of this?
I've been bursting at the seams to talk about this movie, man.
I can tell, man. I can tell. This man, he called me after Boogie Nights and he texted me after Magnolia, literally stating, "How do you go on living after watching something like this?" And I feel like I have an idea of where his allegiances lie with Magnolia, but Rhys, take it away.
Okay, this was my favorite PTA movie. If you ask me pre this watch, I don't know what it's going to be now, like as we're doing the marathon. But one thing that I can still say for certain is that this film is magic to me. I adored this, and like, man, I was thinking about Boogie Nights the night of. The night of, as well as the day after watching it. But Magnolia, I have not been able to stop thinking about since watching. This was a film that went for 3 hours and 10 minutes, and I stood there no, I didn't stand there. I was sitting there in my bedroom in silence as the credits rolled, and then as they finished, my TV screen just went to black. And I'm now in just a pitch black, dark room. No lights on, the screen is turned off, and I'm just, for probably 10 minutes, staring at the darkness of the screen that's left there.
Wow, okay, that is pretty epic, I gotta say, for lack of a better word.
To summarize how I feel is that it's not probably the cleanest movie ever. Like, I think the Boogie Nights is a cleaner film and probably takes you more on a bit of a roller coaster of emotions. But Magnolia has this special sensation to it for me that just that despite it being so sort of grounded and it feeling not even that crazy special with the circumstances of what's going on here, it has such a particular personality to it that puts me at a loss for words almost.
Would otherworldly be a good way to describe it in your eyes?
It feels like an enigma, this film, that just is crying out to be solved. And this is like the frickin' the plinth in 2001 A Space Odyssey for me, of just, I'm this monkey man that has found this obelisk that I'm just looking at it in wonder, and I'm not sure if I should or can touch it, and I sort of go close to it, I touch it a little bit, and then I run away. That's how I feel about Magnolia.
Damn, okay, wow, okay, fucking hell, not bad.
I have not been able to stop listening to this soundtrack. Like, it's consuming my life a bit at the moment.
Damn.
But Kane, what do you think? What do you think, having not seen this before and not knowing what Magnolia had underneath its petals for you?
All I knew going into this movie was that it was very long and had a lot going on in terms of the storylines and the themes and just the scale of it all, the weight of it all. And I was very intimidated going into this. And one thing I got to say is that I really, really appreciate just the raw emotion that this film provides. And obviously, I went into this not even knowing the context of, like, why PTA made this movie. I had no idea about the dead dad stuff.
Oh, okay.
So I really got to credit just how vulnerable this film feels, and just, like, the sheer scale and almost, like, I don't want to say experimental nature of it all, because it's the way it's done is somewhat unconventional sense, you know? However, I'm going to be honest, I did not really care for this.
Oh, no.
Now let me preface this by saying I do not think it's bad at all. I understand that this is a not only good but great, even amazing movie. I just did not care for this.
Oh,
I think
no.
there's stuff that I enjoy, and a lot of it can, and also I will be honest, a lot of it can be construed to me just not getting it. But I didn't love it. I did not love it. I'm gonna, and you know, and I am so heartbroken by that, because I was so genuinely excited going into this, and halfway through, it clicked in my head, but I did not want to say it out loud. I kept just saying, "Don't say it, all right, don't say it." But I didn't love it. I didn't love it. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't love Magnolia, guys. I'm sorry.
It just ain't for you. It ain't for you. You know what? I'm glad that we could have some controversial opinions then, like a little bit of discourse, because
exactly. Well, I mean, I just want to say that I've been talking to people at work about this movie, and I'm like, you know what? I'm sad, but at the same time, this would be very interesting, because like, that's what makes for interesting conversation, is when we have differing opinions on such, like, big movies like this, you know?
I honestly have gotten a little bit afraid that with these first 3 films being so strong for me, that it's going to be an entire marathon of us both just being like, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
isn't that great?
It would just be like, it'd be like a PTA kind of wank session.
Yeah,
bit,
exactly.
You know?
Where it's up to me to do all the wanking, and you can sort of ground both me and the podcast a bit, which I'm happy about. But I'm sorry, man. I'm so sorry that the magic didn't work for you.
I know. It's like, it's so weird, because a lot of this stuff on paper really should work for me. I love movies. I love sad movies. I love movies about these big themes of redemption, grief, of finding purpose. And yet it didn't work for me a lot of the time.
Damn. Well, there's one thing that potentially, is it because there's just too much happening and it's almost distracting?
Yes. One reason is too much going on, and you know how I said that in Boogie Nights the runtime flew by?
Yeah.
Dude, the middle chunk of this movie for me fucking dragged for me. Like, there are certain little storylines in this that I want to be honest, I couldn't care less about. I'm gonna be honest. I couldn't give less of a shit.
Oh, no.
Oh, I know. Oh. It's a sad one. It's a sad one today, boys. But hey, how fitting. We're talking about a sad movie.
Exactly. The grief that I am now filled with. So, you know,
perfect.
Yeah, it's supposed to be. There's, I see where you're coming from, right? Like, Boogie Nights has a lot of characters and a lot of things happening, but it feels like thematically they're all pretty, like, clearly aligned, because they all are in the same industry, they all have similar lives, and when you really think of it on paper, the real only, like, thematic characters is probably around 6, 7, or 8. In this one, there is about 13 main characters.
Yeah, it's insane.
But what I am so impressed about with this film doing, which it seems like it didn't really jive with you, with like the pacing. I love the pacing of this movie because I feel like that for me, even though it switches between each character and different parallel storyline, I think with such rhythm that you never miss a character enough. Like, you never go, hey, I wonder what's happening with this character, I think. That it always feeds you, it drip feeds you the next step with each one, as well as each scene does feel like it progresses them a little bit, where I was saying to someone the other day, I was comparing it to something that I think does it terribly, the same thing, with like the newest season of Stranger Things, where there's...
Where there's... that's a good analogy,
where there's so many characters, there's so many parallel storylines being juggled at once, but then it feels like that the story forgets what Mike is doing for like 2 hours, and then it goes back to them, and then Mike took 3 steps, and then it goes back to what Steve's doing, and he takes 3 steps. Then it goes back to what Mike's doing, and he takes 3 steps, and it feels like there's no progress. And and it's like the 10 different storylines you've watched for 4 hours of content, and they've all only made little steps towards their goal because they're like really like, what's it called? They're really, really stretching it out. Here, even though that it is 3 hours and 10 minutes and quite long, I didn't feel the length that much because it feels like there's progress going on. And it's almost like that it is happening in real time. It's only one night it's one day the entire film, right?
Yeah.
And I love that it's like one day through all of these people's lives that changes them forever. That will change them.
I will say that I actually do agree with you that while I did find the film to drag during the middle act, I will say that one thing I do appreciate is that like every storyline like as one storyline ends and another begins, you do feel a sense of progression with each storyline. Like I get a sense of progression while it didn't exactly, it wasn't exactly my cup of tea. There did feel like progression. While it did drag, I still felt like stuff was happening, even if some of the storylines worked better for me than others.
Yeah, okay, I'm glad at least that hits. There's...
Yeah, I want to come out and say this, is that, like, I'm not hating on this movie, alright? I don't think this is bad, and I am genuinely upset that I didn't love this. I wish I did. And I can respect that this is objectively a great, grand movie. It just wasn't for me. It just wasn't for me, or maybe I'm just watching, or maybe it was just a bad time, but it's just, right now, at this point, it's a film that I'm just like, I see what they're going for, and I see why people like it. I just didn't care for it.
You know what I would really, really compare this film to? Asteroid City. Wes Anderson's Asteroid City. I think it has a very similar thing going to it, where it is meant to confuse you, and then ultimately its conclusion is that the moment where it pulls the rug from under you is a little bit like, hey, maybe it's not that deep, bro. I feel like that's why it's quite similar. And I adored both of them. Is that because it's just like... it really, I think, subverts expectations to the max.
That's so funny, because both those movies I have the general same opinion on, where I'm like, I get why, I just didn't care for them.
Totally. And it's because those movies aren't for everyone, without a doubt. They are difficult. They are also they're not, they will definitely sacrifice having fun to do something else in the process.
I respect that, though. While they may not be for me, I respect them for doing that, for having the audacity to do what they're doing so unapologetically,
almost like how you were saying before, that at least it feels like there's something is happening at every moment. It's almost to its own detriment, that it feels like there's almost too much happening at times, and there are lines that are just so loaded, where a character will say something, and it feels like that it's like that could be the line of the movie, as in that embodies everything, ties it all together. But then there's 100 of them, And because of that,
Yeah.
and because they're firing off like a machine gun, it's like, oh, there's too much to catch here. I'm getting overwhelmed, and like, I am not going to pretend like I get everything and I understand the significance of every line in this movie, because I almost think that it is a little bit of a mood board of like, that PTA has a lot of ideas, so many ideas, and they are definitely tied together by an umbrella idea. But I think that there's room for ambiguity there, and what do you feel about that? Like, I think that there definitely is that.
Okay, so you brought up the whole, like, this is like a mood board of a film kind of thing, with PTA, working in that headspace that he was working at the time. It's reminded me of a similar project that I definitely love a lot more than this, where I could describe as a mood board. This film, in a sense, kind of reminds me of the third album by the Smashing Pumpkins, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness. It's a 2-hour-long album, 28 tracks long, and it's just a mood board of different ideas, different genres, different songs sonically that are just thrown all together, different storylines just thrown together, and just, like, in a sense, all over the place, but also tied together through an umbrella theme that, while it can be messy, you can still, whether or not, like, doesn't matter your opinion, you can still respect just the audacity of the creator having the balls to just, like, throw everything on the table and just have this unabashed vision. Like, I think that's a good companion piece in my eyes, even though I like one more than the other. I think that's a great companion piece in my eyes, Magnolia being, Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness,
I love that comparison. That is awesome. Is this the first time that we've compared a film to an album?
I feel like
I think it is.
It's really funny. It's really funny because I was literally going to compare this to OK Computer from Radiohead, with like that being like the kind of big like 10-pole fucking the big 10-pole third entry by a thing. But I'm like, no, I got something better. And then Melancholy, boom, beautiful. Anyways, go on.
I think that the messiness and the chaos of the film is all an essential part of it. Because really,
I agree, honestly.
I think that it's like beauty in the chaos, and that even is definitely, like, I think that that's what the whole fucking movie is almost about. That's like the Magnolia itself, that is of course a symbol, right? It's the title of the movie. It's like this flower opening up in front of us. The Magnolia that is Magnolia is this sort of withered, unkempt flower that has a very short lifespan, shows a lot of beauty, and then dies, and is a little bit messy. It's an important ingredient in this potion that it's made.
Completely.
And interesting too that you compare it to something with melancholy in the name, because fuck, if there's a mood, if there's a word to describe the mood of this film, it is melancholic. It is the whole thing is just shrouded by, like, it's perfect that it's like it's raining, right? Because it's like this storm of sadness and baggage that everyone has.
Yeah.
That's like that is the easiest, clearest way to connect these characters, right, is the baggage and shit that they all have going on, the unresolved issues, and it's like, this day is going to test them. It's going to be a divine test in some way. But before we get into that, a little bit on overall, one thing that you must have liked, right, is the soundtrack.
Yeah. About that. I want to be honest. It's all right. Look, I'll say this. The third act the soundtrack in the third act, I thought was really good, especially some of the all right, the licensed songs I really liked. The licensed songs were really good, and I think some of the instrumentals during the third act I thought were great. However, oh my fucking god, the soundtrack is so, in my opinion, it is so fucking overbearing to the point where it is just, it got way too melodramatic for my liking. I was just like, tone it down, guys. Tone it down.
Interesting. Okay.
You know what it felt like? You know what it felt like for me? It felt like I was watching a fucking episode of CSI or Home and Away or one of those shitty fucking Channel 10 dramas on Australian
Interesting.
TV.
Okay.
It was overbearing to the point of just melodramatic exhaustion, and I'm just like, guys, calm down, please. Now, I feel really bad calling this film because, like, one thing that I keep calling this film is way too melodramatic, and I feel bad now knowing the context of why this film was made. However,
boo-hoo, your dad died.
Well,
go make a movie about it.
Well, I feel bad. I feel bad. However, I'm sticking to my guns. All right, I'm sticking to my guns. Okay, because it just didn't work for me. It just didn't work for me. I know it works for so many other people, including you, Rhys, but it was too much. It was too much, man. I'm just like, come off it. Come on, man.
That's okay, dude. I actually love that we feel differently about this. I have not been able to stop listening to this soundtrack.
And that's good. That is so fucking good, man. Like, if anything, I'm fucking furious right now because, like, I just knew for a fact when I knew when I finished watching this movie, I'm like, oh dear God, okay, this is gonna be one of those. It's gonna be one of those. I immediately knew after finishing the movie it's gonna be one of those episodes because I knew for a fact that you were going to adore this.
This is a sort of wank fest that Rhys fucking thrives off.
No. I legitimately said that, like, oh, Rhys is gonna jack off this movie so fucking much. I legitimately am quoted saying that. Oh my God.
Oh, that's awesome. Maybe it's a reflection of how much of a melodramatic person I am, just on an everyday basis.
But, like, I love, but, like, that's another thing. I love melodramatic films. I love that kind of shit.
Like, this is sort of
I don't know why this didn't work for me.
The sort of loser that I am is that I watch this and I'm like, oh, I can't wait to listen to this music and, like, look deeply into someone's eyes and, like, passionately kiss someone to this music. That's the sort of fucking loser that I am.
Oh, God, okay. Oh, come on, loser's a bit much. But, like, oh, come on, mate. Fuck it, I'll come off it.
No, but you know what? I'm owning it. That I don't care. It's like I love it. That's good. I'm not sure if you would have seen, but pretty much the entire soundtrack is produced by Amy Mann.
Yes, I did notice that. Like, yeah, a lot of the music is like because like what like. I read the one thing that I did read about the backstory of this movie is that like he got the idea from like this artist. Was it Amy Mann?
Oh, I actually don't know.
Not idea, but like he was. I remember like I read that there was like an artist that he was inspired by to make this movie, and then included her songs. I think that might have been Amy Mann. Don't quote me on that.
It must be her then, because she populates the entire soundtrack of this. Like it is hers. And like it's like the song that was like nominated for an Oscar for Best Original Song for this, Save Me, which is like played at the end. That music video is just, it's a really interesting to watch, is Amy Mann in the setting with every character from the film. It's like she's on set, like she's on location when this film was being made. And and she is there singing to the camera just idly, or like almost as like a passive observer of the film happening around her. It's really interesting. So like she is very much a part of the DNA of this movie, without a doubt. And speaking of DNA, the soundtracks I find so interesting as a polar opposite entity to the Boogie Nights soundtrack, right? Where Boogie Nights is all about like it's all these crazy, fun, energetic, like optimistic songs, right? That even played in really stressful, pessimistic environments, but it's like it's such a glamorous soundtrack where this is it
also makes for a great way to like juxtapose those scenes. But yes, anyway, sorry for interrupting.
No, that's okay. Where this one is very directly like these are sad songs for these sad people.
Yeah. Dude, what the fuck? Sorry to make another Smashing Pumpkins reference, but this is literally like Boogie Nights is the Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness soundtrack wise, and then this is his Adore from Smashing Pumpkins, where it's just complete despair, depression, and also dedicated to a passed away parent, with that album being about Billy Corgan's mother, this being about his father.
That's interesting.
Damn. Yeah, what the? Oh my god, yeah, that's just I just figured that out now. I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Damn, all right.
Also, really quick shout out, of course, to like the song 1, which is, the Magnolia song. Fantastic, and I think utilized brilliantly in this montage that introduces all of the characters this is like a 3-minute song. And to introduce and give you a sense of all fucking 15 primary characters on a montage when one song plays, it's so just like fluid and feels so natural and organic, the whole thing, and I adore it. But a highlight,
I thought that was well done. Yeah.
A highlight song for me has to be, though, "Wise Up," which is the song that is played where there's this weird sort of like surreal moment where every character is singing this song together, parallel.
Okay. No, I can wholeheartedly agree with you with that. That sequence, fucking beautiful. I genuinely love that scene so much.
I think that is my only scene of where I cried during this, and I could not help but sing along with them. I don't know if anyone else...
Yeah.
Did you have that instinct? I feel like that...
I felt it a little bit. I didn't sing, but like I did have that... I will say I felt moved by that scene. It caught me off guard. But I felt genuinely moved by that, I will say.
I felt like that it was almost inviting you to sing along with them and then get you to be a part of the film with these characters. Like, oh my god. Especially too that I think that when they're singing, right, if it's not all of them, a majority of them are doing it when they're alone, where they're feeling alone, and it's really, really symbolic of this loneliness that you feel when full of grief. And this feels like a movie that I think is sort of made to watch alone. I was going to watch this with the person that I'm seeing at the moment, and I'm glad that I was like, you know what? No, I'm gonna watch Punch Drunk Love with her instead, because it makes a bit more sense with it being like a romance movie. And I
can't believe you were going to watch Magnolia with a girl. I can't believe
I
that.
am so glad. That sounds so funny coming out of your mouth, because it sounds like with a girl, like a girl wouldn't understand this.
No. Yeah, true. Yeah, mate, PTA, it's for the boys. Yeah, mate. All right.
No,
we watch these melancholic introspective movies for the boys.
I'm glad that I didn't watch it with her, just for the fact of like that it would have taken all the warmth out of the rest of the night. Is that for me, it would have made me so sad. I would have had no idea how do you talk to someone about that, about this movie. That's why I texted you, how does one continue living after this film? And I'm sort of glad because I needed to process it a bit before I could talk about it. It felt rude to talk about it first before it has been digested.
No, of course.
But let's talk a little bit about some highlight characters and stuff. Here's a little bit of a heads up for the episode, by the way, audience. This is a bit of a weird, hard movie to talk about because there's so much going on, and to talk about everything, you almost need to speak for 3 hours straight. So if we miss out on some details and some characters, so let it be. So let it be, because potentially it's because it didn't resonate with us, didn't mean much to us, so we're going to leave that lie. Okay, Kane agrees, thank God. Okay, so what were some highlight characters for you, man? I want to hear from the horse's mouth.
Okay, let me think about highlight characters. I really did enjoy Tom Cruise as, fucking, oh god damn it, what's his name again? Like Frank. I enjoyed Tom Cruise's character. And he's and he's, this almost Andrew, this almost like, this caricature of the alpha male, this prototype Andrew Tate character, as his shell, this wall, this shell is like slowly broken down, and you see like the pain and resentment that he has towards his upbringing, and the pain and resentment that he feels towards, what's the dad's name in this movie again?
Oh, the dad is Earl.
Like the hatred, not even resentment, the hatred that he has for Earl, and him almost, and then, you know, that sequence of him at the end of the movie where he you know, he's like, I'm not going to cry for you, and then, you know, breaks down and literally, you know, becomes that of a child, you know, carrying on the kind of themes of, like, of these adults being children in just adult bodies in these PTA films. Like, it is really well done stuff, I will say. Like, I thought the Tom Cruise stuff was you know, pretty well done, in my opinion. Like, do you agree?
Oh, totally agree. Perfect.
I mean, why am I even asking that? Like, you fucking adore this movie.
It's really, he's probably one of the most jarring PTA characters to me, because he feels not of PTA's worlds, I almost feel, which is fair, because his character, Frank, does stand out as a very unique particular, like, we probably don't get another character like Frank until The Master, in a weird way.
Yeah. Well, you know what else it could be? It's just the fact that it's Tom Cruise playing him.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously with us, you know, knowing Tom Cruise now, you know, as this big, you know, he is the movie star type shit. Even back then, he was the movie star.
Yeah,
like, you know, with the first Mission Impossible and, like, all, you know, all the shit that he was doing back then. You know, he was still the movie star back then. You know, it's just like it's such a strange performance, because, like, even though for, you know, a decent portion of it, I'm like, yeah, this is just, you know, all I see is Tom Cruise, but, like, even like that, I think that's what I can really credit Paul Thomas Anderson with, like, his casting and, like, the way he writes his actors, is that he does such a great job at just making these people feel like fully realized human beings, that you can even make Tom Cruise. You can even make me forget that Tom Cruise is in this movie, and then I'm just watching a character. Like, I got to, like, I may not love this movie, but I got to applaud PTA for that, man.
Yeah, man. Because at this point, he already, like, was Jerry Maguire. Fucking that raked up the box office. Mission Impossible, Rain Man, freaking Top Gun already. Like he was already like in the fucking spotlight. And then he got an Oscar. He got an Oscar nomination for this.
Oh my god! Okay, well deserved. Honestly, well deserved.
Just as
fucking hell, because he's incredible in this.
As a tiny side note, the Oscar nominations that this film got was best actor for good old Tommy, as well as in a supporting role. Sorry, must say, as well as best writing, screenplay, like original screenplay for PTA, and then also best original song for Save Me. So 3 Oscar noms, but no wins. No wins.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought it would have won for best song at least.
I know, right? Also, to go back on the music really, really quickly, between Boogie Nights and Magnolia, quite a lot more direction from PTA on music videos, especially for artist Fiona Apple. And then you can definitely see how then he's incorporating music a lot more sort of diegetically into Magnolia than with Boogie Nights. Boogie Nights, it feels a lot more like just vibe, where here the music is really, really important.
It's like serving a purpose thematically rather than just like setting the scene.
Yeah, it's made for it, right? It's constructed for these particular moments. But yes, Tom Cruise, insanely good in this with his seduce and destroy. And I love the juxtaposition of presenting him as like so sort of powerful for these people, but also with such like obvious layers of ridiculousnly to himself. Like,
oh my god, yeah.
Like his intro with how he takes himself so fucking seriously with the freaking 2001: A Space Odyssey song playing as he's just raising his arms up very slowly to flex on these people, to literally flex on these people as there's a bright light from behind him. And then like what I love so much about this is that you can also hear how like all the music in this film is done with so much like high fidelity and like a sound mixed really, really well. This is not. This sounds like it's playing out of like a $2 speaker, and immediately as it's sort of done, it like the song cuts off, there's no fade, and then like a little banner with a fucking furry like a furry freaking artistry like pops up behind him.
Yeah.
It's so unprofessional, it's so lame, and it's so much less powerful that he thinks he's being in that moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And then it goes into his introduction of showing a bit of his public speaking, and he says absolutely nothing in this monologue.
He's just spouting fucking he's just spouting the same fucking garbage that people these days are fucking speaking.
Exactly.
It's hilarious, bro.
It's ahead of its time, man. Just saying buzzwords to empower. That's like so.
Oh my god.
Okay, here's a little bit of a confession that I have. So, audience, please do not tune off. Do not tune off. Listen to me. Like, please hear me as a researcher. I read 12 Rules to Life, the Jordan B. Peterson book. I read it because I wanted to see what this was all about. I wanted to see because it's quite a sort of seminal, influential piece in our modern culture when it comes to like modern literature, right? In very arguably bad ways, and not in a good way for our culture. But reading this book, it was like, wow, the language used in this it wraps you around its finger in the way of like making you feel, in one sentence, it can make you feel so powerless, and then by the end of the sentence, it boosts you up with the language used so highly. And I'm reading it just thinking, wow, vulnerable people that are looking for a guiding light can fall into this trap so deeply. And that's exactly what all the freaking people that are tuning into this Seduce and Destroy like seminar are there for.
Well, yeah, they're just there for like the big buzzwords and like those sentences to like bring them down and then build them back up. Like people that are vulnerable eat that shit up. That's why people like Andrew Tate and like even like say like Ben Shapiro are like still relevant to this day, because vulnerable people will eat that shit up. Like it's insane. Like, oh my days, fucking hell.
It's funny how in like 25 years past this movie, how it's more prevalent than ever.
I'm glad that you said more prevalent, because like it's even worse now, kind of thing. Worse as in like it's all over. Like back like in 1999, it's just reserved for like books, shitty public access and seminars. Now it's like it's plastered all over your algorithms. It's nuts.
And like I love that this character is presented in such a way that like that. There is this bit of like glossiness to the way that he's presented, but the cracks are made so clear. And there's no better scene that encapsulates this for this character, I believe, than when he's in the interview and he's questioned. When he's in an interview with a female journalist of all people as well.
Yeah.
And he is told, hey, I think that you've lied to me. And all the strong mask just falls off, and you see the breaking point for him, and also how fucking like vulnerable and weak he sort of is to the first question of his integrity. And that's such a microcosm of like toxic masculinity, right?
Well, even like the camera work during those interview scenes, like as he's getting pressed more and more about his his history with his family, like from what I remember at least, like the camera work, like it's like you got the camera like hovering above him, making him seem smaller than he is. Meanwhile, during all the scenes of him during the seminar, it's like panned up. Showing him on the stage to make him look, larger than life, like a god, and then with this, having him look small, like almost like that of a child kind of thing. Like it's really well done directing, honestly.
Totally. And as you mentioned before, that scene where he finally does see his dad, and he's yelling at his dad on his deathbed, saying that he won't cry for him. Like he's refusing to be vulnerable and emotional, even when he is bawling his eyes out. But he still won't even admit it. He won't admit the truth that is in front of him, because this fake persona is protected. Like he feels feels is protecting him so closely.
Yeah.
Oh, so good.
It is really well done, yeah.
One narrative consistency that sort of brings itself up quite quickly with with all the different narratives in this film, all the storylines in this movie, as well as the past PTA movies, is this absentee fatherhood, right? Is how so many of these stories and the sort of conflict in them come from this. Of course, with Frank and Earl, but one of my favorites and one that is really heartbreaking is Jimmy, who is played by our good man Philip Baker Hall again. So now 3 for 3, Philip Baker Hall back with PTA movie, and he's the game show host. And him and his daughter Claudia, who is just a broken human being.
Oh my god, yeah.
The first scene of real like emotional vulnerability here in this movie for me was Jimmy telling Claudia about his cancer and her refusing to listen to him and yelling at him and abusing him as he's trying to tell this. And obviously you don't know the backstory yet, but it doesn't even matter. Just seeing a father tell his daughter that he's dying and she is refusing to listen, it feels heartbreaking.
Oh, it is hard to watch. Like that is a great that is a great scene to really set the mood with this film. Like I'm like, okay, we're in for. I knew this film was going to be sad and hard to watch, but okay, we're really in for an exhausting experience emotionally. Let's go.
Because Jimmy is making himself so fucking vulnerable, like a magnolia opening up its petals. Yeah. And then Claudia is stomping on it. And he just keeps on trying, like, I'm dying. No, get away, get out of my house. I hate you. Oh my god. Fuck it.
Yeah, it's haunting. It's haunting.
It really, really is. And then there's other little bits of this sort of like absentee fatherhood that's there. Is Stanley, the game show, like the game show genius contestant, and his father, who is just sort of appropriating him and taking advantage of him for his skills on this game show. And I think that's the main sort of thing there. I think that that's the main fatherhood stuff. Am I missing out?
No, you're not. Can I just quickly say one thing? Because
please.
Are we gonna talk that much about the Stanley stuff?
Well, I wanted to ask you about standout characters and letdown characters. So
okay, well, all right. Well, let me go into a letdown character. I did not give a shit about Stanley at all. I did not care at all. All right, I'm gonna come out on a limb and say I don't like child prodigy characters. I don't like precocious, smart, overly like smartly written children and all that. I don't care for that kind of stuff. I do not care for it, and I did not care for the Stanley stuff. Every time it came back to the game show and it's like Stanley on the show, I did not care. I will say I liked the interactions with his father. I enjoyed those. And I did quite like the final scene that he has with his father. I thought that was, I thought that was a very, like, the vibe I got at least was, like, bittersweet kind of thing. But I all around, every time he cut back to the game show, I would just like, come on, please just hook me in, please. Like I'm legitimately, for every storyline that I liked, when it would cut to a storyline that I didn't like the Stanley stuff or the Julianne Moore stuff, I'm like, come on, just hook me in, please, come on, please.
Oh that's God. So upset. I definitely am not on the same page with you there, where the Stanley stuff I loved. Whenever they were at the game show, I was there. I was hooked.
And that's awesome. That's fucking cool as shit. Like, I'm so happy for you, man. Oh my God.
Because
like, do you want to talk about the Stanley stuff on like?
I'll talk about mine, because he feels so integral to this film as well, because he's like the only pure character in this movie, right?
Yeah.
It's like he hasn't been tainted by the world yet. And like, to skip ahead a little bit to like his sort of conclusion, is that he has probably one of the most hopeful, like, pure endings, because he then refuses to be corrupted. He essentially gets to a point where he's like, he realizes that he is surrounded by so much chaos, and then he demands that he keeps his purity and has a better life than the adults around him. I fucking adore that, and I also thought that he didn't annoy me, his prodigy child sort of thing, because you know what? You know what I hate about prodigy children, like characters in films, is the scene where they prove to you how much of a prodigy they are by swelling up the music and then zooming in on their face as they're saying something really, really smart, and it being like, and then there's reaction shots of
a very young Sheldon ass type shit.
I hate that shit because this movie tells you, I think, in a very organic way where it doesn't shove it in your face too hard, that he is insanely intelligent. Like, I think that it comes across quite quickly, and also feels like it's genuinely because this kid just like is interested and likes this knowledge, right?
I mean, that's fair enough and all that. For me, that's just personal taste kind of thing. I will say, however, that I thought his monologue to Jimmy after he pisses himself, I thought that was really well done.
Yes.
I really liked that. I just remembered I forgot to mention that, but that was the other Stanley segment that I really enjoyed. Like, that I thought was great. But everything else just either I didn't care about or I was actively annoyed by.
I thought he was one of the most rewarding characters because he stands up for himself almost consistently. Him pissing himself.
I wish I felt that way, man. I wish. I get what you mean, but I wish I felt that watching it.
Once he pisses himself, right? That is the needle drop moment for him where he's like, I'm not doing this anymore. Fuck you all. I am better than this. Because he is such a pure character, and he's made to be pathetic almost. Like he's made to be almost like walked all over, and he's like, no, I'm not having it anymore. So when like it's his time to go up on the podium, and he's like, no, and then it leads into his monologue. It feels so strong, and it's like the strength.
Right, yeah.
It's the strength that all these characters need, and it's shown through this child. Like, awesome. And okay, I do have to say this now because we're talking about Stanley. There is another fantastic line that comes from child genius Donnie Smith. Is of course when they're in the bar and this random fucking dude at the bar is like, "Don't go confusing children with angels," and he says, and then he comes back saying that there's no danger in confusing children with angels. And then a couple of scenes later, as Stanley is standing up for himself, in the background, that where there's all these symbols and stuff, he has wings. He has wings from like, you know, the emblem, like the sort of paramedics health emblem of like the That's behind him, but he's covering the middle, and the wings are coming out from him standing up for himself. I only noticed that this time around, and I was like,
cool as fuck.
How freaking cool. And
that is pretty sweet. I like that.
He is an angel amongst all these men. And
right, okay.
And like I feel that he, for me anyway, had this energy to him that propelled me to him like he is an angel.
No, that's really cool. That's really cool, honestly. Like
So you did mention that another letdown for you is Julianne Moore's character.
I just
Linda.
This is like the melodrama at its highest. I think she does a great job in this movie. I think everyone does a great job. Obviously, that can't go without saying. But oh my fucking god, this is where it felt the most like I was watching like a CSI drama or some shitty drama, whatever. Oh my dear god, like just every scene, she's just fucking. I get why she's so sad and crying and so manic and all that, but it just got fucking exhausting, man. Oh my god.
What I really didn't like about Linda and her arc.
You didn't like?
I she's my low light without a doubt.
Okay. Go on.
Is that everyone has their moment of change, right? That's essential to all of these characters. Her moment of change feels too abrupt for me. It feels too much like she goes from wanting him dead and like wanting him like waiting for him to die so that she can get all of his money. To completely like, no, I am deeply in love with him and I don't want him to die.
Yeah, that came out of fucking nowhere, man. I'm sorry, that came out of fucking nowhere, and I'm glad that like I'm assuming you're on the same page.
It's the change that I don't buy. I'm sorry to say, don't buy it.
Because it literally comes out of fucking nowhere. It comes out of it's one scene of her being like, yeah, I want him to die, I want his money, and then it's just like, oh no, I love him. It's like, oh, I don't think I've ever I saw one scene of you interacting with Earl, and now you love him. No, you add like I know I said this film's way too fucking long, but add like a scene of her maybe like reminiscing over like memories or some crap. I don't fucking know. Like just like that. Come on, because I don't believe it at all that she just somehow falls in love with this guy. Like this whole like Anna Nicole Smith fucking ass relationship. Like, come on, man, come off it.
Yeah, I agree with you. Oh, sorry, I just went right from the mic. I agree with you, definitely. To balance it out, because I can't be hanging too much shit on Magnolia.
Of course.
Is that I was hanging on every last word though of every scene with Jimmy. No, not Jimmy. Sorry. With Officer Jim and Claudia.
Mm-hmm. I quite liked it, honestly. I wouldn't say I loved that storyline. I quite liked it though. I thought it was very sweet, honestly. I thought it was very sweet and almost gave a nice glimmer of hope in this almost hopeless movie at times, you know?
Yeah. Oh, totally. Jim is probably one of the other pure. He's the second purest character in this movie.
Oh, completely. I will say, however, that I wasn't buying Jim for the opening of this movie. Like his interaction with the lady that he's arresting at the start of the movie, or him with the kid. I'm like, oh god, this is a bit. I was not into his character at all. I was kind of annoyed by him, but his interactions with her name was Claire or Claudia? Claudia. His interactions with Claudia, I thought were really well done. I really liked that stuff. Honestly, I thought it was really well done. It there was a decent amount of tension, but also this genuine air of sincerity towards the John C. Reilly's delivery, and I think I honestly I'm gonna go on a limb and say I think this might be some of the best acting I've ever seen John C. Reilly do. It's just it's so just down to earth and just so fucking sweet, and I'm so captivated by him in this performance and just how earnest he is. That is insane. And the fact that I fucking watched Step Brothers earlier this month, and while I'll go on a limb, I'll say Step Brothers doesn't hold up in my opinion. I will say though, John C. Reilly, best part of that fucking movie. I think he's the best part of that movie, and seeing him do actual drama, it's just such fucking whiplash this month, I will say. And him being good at it as well is such whiplash.
Well, PTA knows how to get comedy actors doing good drama, right?
We'll get to that with Punch Drunk Love, mate. Don't you worry.
Yeah, and I could watch an entire film just about Jim and Claudia. I thought,
honestly, dude, same.
I thought that their contrast with how put together Jim tries to make it Jim is really, really trying to make it seem that he's put together, and he's trying to convince himself that, right? Where really he is just as messy as any of the other people that in this film. Where Claudia, she is externalizing all of this messiness, and I think that that's why Jim falls in love with her. I feel that Jim falls in love with her because it's at least she's been real about this. I wish that I could be a bit real about this. Where Claudia, I think, maybe falls in love with Jim because it's Jim is just trying. He's really trying to be as good as he can be, even when it's hard.
You know what I think the worst part about that whole segment with Jim and Claudia is that I wanted more from it. And that's why I agree with you early. Well, literally before when you said I could have watched an entire movie. I wish part of me kind of wishes that the movie was just on those two, because like I wanted every time like it would cut away, especially as the film kept going on. I'm like, I want more from that. Like, this is actually really fucking nice, and it's not a bit of levity, obviously, because, you know, it's still pretty, like, harrowing, you know, seeing, like, just how much of a damaged woman Claudia is, but, like, every time it would cut away, I'm just like, no, go back, please, go back, I really want to see more of this.
Like, one consistency, I think, throughout all of these characters is that none of them feel like they have control over their own lives. I think that it feels a little bit like a world of chaos that they're in, and everyone is helpless, and I think that everyone does that extremely well.
That's a great way to look at it.
William H. Macy, Donnie, like the Donnie Smith character.
Oh my god! Yeah.
Did you like that one? Were you having a fun time with him?
I really enjoyed his plotline, especially like. I really enjoyed his plotline, and then when he states the line, I think it was right at the end of the movie where he's like, "I have a lot of love to give."
Oh.
That like, what was the full line? It was like, "I have a lot of love." I feel like I'm missing a part of that line. It's like, "I have a lot of love to give. I just don't know how."
Yeah. That's the line. I think.
Like, I enjoyed I enjoyed Donnie's storyline. I thought that was really great. When he said that line. That hit me like a goddamn fucking cannonball. Like I didn't like. I had moments in this movie where I'm like, oh, you know, I was emotionally moved, but a lot of times I was just exhausted watching this movie. But that line genuinely like hit me like a fucking ton of bricks. Like that is one of the most realist lines I've heard in years from a film. And even though while I don't love this movie, that line, oh my fucking god, that is so fucking. I loved it. I loved that line so much. Like I oh my god.
And he also is another character that actually is like sort of built by his being ruined by his parents. Like with all of his money that he won from the game show, his parents like kept that and hogged it from him, and he actually never saw like a dime from it. And it's really interesting. I find this character really interesting in the continuity of PTA's films, right? Because he's a little bit of a mesh of two characters from Boogie Nights in the way that using like his celebrity status being used for him to work at an electronic department store. That is the same thing that happens with Buck. Both of them are on the billboard for the department store that they work at. So it's almost like he reused that concept a little bit, as well as being a man who has one skill and doesn't know how to define himself outside of that one skill. Doesn't know who he is really yet. And also doesn't see himself, like, he doesn't think that he's being seen. He feels like no one sees who he actually is. Yeah. That's why, like,
he sees himself as like, it's almost like he sees himself as like an afterthought in other people's minds, kind of thing. Like he's just he doesn't matter, kind of thing.
It's consistent with even how he's credited in this film and how everyone refers to him as Quiz Kid Donnie Smith. Like, like the Quiz Kid is his identity, and he, like, that is in the past. And it's up to him to define himself now, and he ultimately wants to define it through love. And that's sort of what everyone is trying to do in this movie. They want to feel loved. They want to feel loved.
Well, that is like that. There's a lot of things that I don't get about this movie, but like the through line of love, wanting to be loved, whether it be by a partner or a parent or just, you know, or even just loving themselves. Like the through line, like one of the big through lines of this movie is love and wanting that, you know, like it's fucking powerful stuff, man.
Okay, with us talking now about the thematic through lines and things like that, we've got to talk about the scene. The fucking scene that this is the reason why I asked, have you seen this before? Do you know anything about this movie? And I think that you said that the main thing that you knew about it was that Tom Cruise has a dad who dies or something.
Yeah.
What did you think of the frogs?
What the fuck? Alright, look. So because I watched this on DVD, right? And I saw on the DVD that there were a couple of frogs on the DVD, and I'm like, oh, okay, interesting, what the fuck? What the fuck was that?
So you're not a fan?
What the fuck was that? No. I wouldn't say I'm not a fan. I'm going to be honest. I do not fucking get it at all. I do not get it. Is it a biblical reference?
You want to hear something funny?
Like that? Let's hear it.
PTA did not even know that this was in the Bible. He only got told this when he had the script, first draft of the script done,
right?
And then he gave it to someone to look over and read for him, and they went, "Oh, I really, really like what you did with this whole biblical reference here," and it's from Ezekiel something. I don't know my Bible.
It's like Prince of. It's like all I know is that there's a rain of frogs from Prince of Egypt. I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yes,
but go on.
But it's like it's from a particular passage in the Bible, right?
Yeah.
He did not even know about this, and it was only that he was told from other people. So then, in the making of the movie, whatever Bible passage it was, they put that number all throughout the sets, and is hidden in the background of different things.
28.
That's probably it. Yeah, something 28.
Yeah, well, because I remember, I did notice at least once or twice during the film, the number 28 shown, and I think that might have been the Bible verse. I don't know. We're not good. We're not good Christian folk. I'm sorry, guys.
That is completely fair to not really know what this sort of means. But how did you feel about it? Did it make you feel anything?
I mean, it's very hard to describe. I was confused, but at the same time, during the frog rain scene, we had the characters coming. We had Claudia and her mother coming together and reconciling. We had Officer
Jim and Donnie Smith.
Yeah, Jim and Donnie, Jim saving Donnie from after him falling off the ladder. And we got the kid Stanley looking on and almost smiling about it, and
this happens. This is something that happens, is what he says.
I'm watching, and I did not know how to feel. I still don't know how to feel. And do I feel happy? Do I feel moved by it? I don't know. I have no idea how I was supposed to feel while watching the film. And after and having thought about it for the last couple of days, I genuinely don't know how I'm supposed to feel.
I think that is exactly how you're supposed to feel. I think that I think that you're supposed to really ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? You're supposed to be jarred and confused. It is the most jarring thing that a filmmaker can do, right? And I love when they do it. I love when they set up rules. And this is a long movie. We've been exposed to a world for the last 2 hours and 45 minutes with a particular set of rules. And we get them, we buy them, we're locked in, and it breaks them. It breaks the rules of reality. And it breaks the rules of reality for everyone in this film. The confusion that we would have been feeling, I don't know how to feel about this, is how they would have been feeling, right? And this is the thing, right? When a massive, tragic thing happens in your life, like the death of a loved one, I don't think that people properly know how to feel. Okay. I think in some traumatic situations that I've been in, or real dark places, I don't think I know how to feel. And I think it's the confusion of, is this going to change my life? I think it's realizing that rules have been broken in your life and things are going to change from it. Right, and I think that if it starts to rain frogs, I think that it's going to make us review if we go living on by the same set of rules. Is life going to be the same now? And I texted you, how does one go on after this film? I think that that's a bit what it's about. And what I love is that I don't think that that's exactly what it's about, but that's what I feel it is. I love that shit. It makes you really question a lot of things. And I love when a movie asks me questions. Oh my God. So the first time that ever happened, as in first time that I watched the film, I just remember being in my bedroom what is this that I've been exposed to now? And that's
Right,
probably
yeah.
that's probably one of the reasons why I really wanted to watch it with the girl that I'm seeing, is because I wanted to see another first time reaction to it.
I love that shit. I love that shit.
And I couldn't wait to hear what you think about it. And I also think that it very much ties into what I was saying before about like this that all these characters this loss of control. They're living in a world of chaos. Everyone feels like their lives are chaos, and this cements that the chaos is chaos is fucking rampant in this world that you live in the same world that we fucking live in. It is essential chaos that will surround us, and it ties in beautifully to something that we didn't even mention yet, but this bookending in the film that of these random little coincidences with this narrator that tells us about a scuba diver in a tree, what was the first one? I forgot what the first one was.
It was there was the scuba diver, there was the suicide, and
I can't remember what the third one is. I remember the suicide.
It was the murders. It was the murders.
Oh yes, yeah, all the murders that happened at once or something.
Yeah. Fucking Wes Anderson looking ass intro right there. Felt like I was watching Royal Tenenbaums. Honestly, that's literally my first note.
I love that. I think the suicide is a perfect microcosm of this movie in a little bit of a way. I love the line where the narrator says that a failed attempted suicide turned into a homicide by complete coincidence. And like logically that is what happened, right? And I think that what it sets up that anything can happen because of coincidence, and that timing is everything, and that like the world works in mysterious ways, sort of thing, and that the world is chaos, and that is raining frogs, right? My God, everyone is helpless. The world will do what it has to do and what it wants to do. You are just buckled in to the world's chaos, like you're buckled in to Magnolia.
You're buckled into the roller coaster that is life.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Or even like, actually, here's a better analogy. You're buckled into the bumper cars that is life. You're gonna get bumped around a bunch, and hopefully get the bump back, and fucking rise above the occasion or type shit. Fucking hell, that is. And like. My God. And like the whole film, it feels like there's this build up where it's supposed to all of the characters are supposed to meet or something like that, right? Oh God, I'm so happy. I'm so happy they didn't do that. Thank God. And I think that it plays on that expectation that that's what you think is going to happen, but really sometimes that doesn't need to happen. And life isn't going to let that happen. Sometimes it's just going to be like the people that need to come into your life will, and that's the chaos of it all. Like, and fuck, the thing that this movie does so well, I think, is that you feel that chaos. You feel the realness of it, and it confronts you with that. And I think the one thing that sort of quiets this chaos is love. And I that's what I sort of think is the main contention of this movie, right? It's about love. It's my about contention. Love. I completely agree that like one of the big through lines of this movie is love and wanting to be loved, wanting love, or loving yourself. Like that is one of the many fucking through lines of this movie. I reckon there are so many people that have watched this movie and probably have a different interpretation of it, and that's the beautiful thing about like films in general, but like this film especially, is that like you can go in and like have a different kind of experience with watching this. Well, I mean, like me for example, where like I may not love this movie, but we all have different experiences with this movie, just like with life in general. We all just have different experiences, and it's different for everyone, kind of thing. Because it's all chaotic.
Yeah, and like that could be the thing that resonates most with you. But there's also like that's why I love Magnolia so much, is that it's about a lot of things, right? It's also about forgiveness, right? Most of these characters find their solace in forgiving. And also a little bit in that way of like how not as much Boogie Nights is much stronger on this, but like sort of reinvention. Like you can change, and there are opportunities to change. There's also in this movie a lot of TV iconography. Like the whole thing is surrounded around the TV show, right? This game show that's happening. And a lot of the transitions from scene to scene is that the game show is playing on a TV in the background. And there's there's constant stimuli. And I think that TV as a bit of a symbol here is a bit of a representation of the chaos, right? There's so much going on TVs. There's so many channels that constantly throwing at you, and it's a representation of reality, the TV that we're watching.
Yeah.
So there's so many pieces at play here, and I've got one more little thing to like close it off. But do you have any last thoughts about Magnolia?
Okay. Well, all right. I don't know. It's not going to be as profound as what you're going to say, I'm sure, because you're the number one Magnolia dick rider over here.
Who knows? Maybe my last line is just frogs are cool, and we need more frogs.
I mean, frogs are cool. With that cannot be disputed. However, while this is a film that I do not love, I can appreciate just the sheer magnitude and scale and unabashed and untainted vision that PTA had for this film. I respect the hell out of this man and out of this film for what it is trying to say, what it is trying to do, and what it is. And I want to make sure that at some points very soon, I want to sit back down, rewatch this, hopefully before we do the ranking, and give it another chance, because I will say that my opinion of this movie has gone up at least a little bit from having at least discussed it. So
okay, cool. I'm glad.
It is a film that I may not love, but I feel like I'm going to love talking about, because it is a film that, like, no matter if you love it or if you hate it, it sticks with you. It will stick with you. Even if it is not to your liking, I would still recommend watching it. Please watch it and form your own opinion. Okay, even if it's like my opinion, or where it doesn't match like everyone else's, please watch it and form your own opinion, because you will still have plenty to talk about. Take it away, Rhys.
So undeniably, right? This is a unique film. Like there is nothing exactly like Magnolia. And I feel the same way, that even though that I watched it a couple of days ago, I immediately I'm happy to do a rewatch now. Like and for a 3-hour and 10-minute film, that is insane. And the reason why, right, is because you watch this film and you can detect the nuances and the layers, and you know that you're missing things because there's so much there. I think that this will be a film like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, where every time that I've watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I've gotten something different out of the film, and I've gotten a different contention of what I think the film's about, depending on where I am in my life at that time. And I think that this is very, very much going to be that sort of film. And overall is just such an enigma, built with so much confidence, even though the PTA was terrified to direct this. He said that he knew this was going to be the hardest thing that he's ever directed, and he was shitting himself leading up to it. But ultimately, one key takeaway that sort of combines this like forgiving the sins of the past, as well as like the love and finding control in our lives, is that I think that what this highlighted to me and spoke to me about is that we give ourselves all these rules and values that control us. And And you can't, like, you have to ask yourself, is this us or is this our past? Is this the trauma and the sins of our past generations that are making us hold these rules and values and follow them? Or is this us? And ultimately, it's up to you to demand a better future for yourself and find control in it. Find control in the chaos.
If you could save me from the ranks of the freaks who suspect they could never love anyone.
And don't forget to check out our Facebook page at Marathon Me Official, all one word, and our Instagram, MarathonMe_official, to keep up to date on the podcast. And hey, if you want to get into contact with us, email us at marathonmepodc, yes, the letter C, @gmail.com. Like podcast without the ask.